NAB, it is the must show. So, there's so many different great shows in our industry. I don't go to a lot of them. It's hard to have the time when you're busy doing work.
Right,
But,
right.
this is the one that everything has to, well, I would say, I was going to say it has to stop, but nothing really stops. It's changed. So now we bring clients out here
Yeah,
to NAB.
that's huge.
So we're setting up meetings with major manufacturers and small manufacturers, all and all in between. Especially the last couple of years, it's timed out well when we had a facility build-out project going. So our consulting division does a lot of that, and so we'll bring clients out here and show them the technology that we're recommending, and have them meet with the manufacturers. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's so helpful. I mean, to have your clients be able to sit through a discussion with the actual manufacturer of the product that you're trying to
Yep.
sell them on as the right solution for their business, and it helps them really understand why they need this product and why they need to integrate that into their workflows. And then there's also the dinners and all the meetings and things that go on. We're excited. We invited you to the our little LiveX party at the High
it's
Roller
awesome.
tonight.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Which we're really excited about. And then there's a lot of parties that go on throughout the week. Do you get into many of those after hours engagements and stuff like that? That's where the real deals happen, I think.
Well, I mean, right. The day does not end when the convention floor closes for the day. During the daytime is phase one.
Right. Right.
Phase two is usually like joining a happy hour or something that someone's having. It could be a client, a vendor, whatever. Phase three is dinner, often with a client or with a vendor, and phase four is whatever happens after that, which is more smoozing or a party or something. I go to as much as I can. It becomes a little overwhelming. There's so many options and things to do, and also my big priority is to take in as much as I can. Like during the convention time where it's open, I'm on 100% of the time.
Right,
I'm
right.
back-to-back meetings, either with clients and vendors or with just one-on-one with vendors, or trying to squeeze in time to look at things that I need for our business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for us, we're working with the major vendors all the time, all year long. And so I feel like I have a good pulse on what they're doing, where they're going. So for meeting with them at NAB, if it's not with them and one of our clients, if it's one-on-one and I'm meeting with them, whether it's dinner or a party or at their booth, it's really kind of more talking about the future and building the relationship. But there's usually not many surprises for us.
Right, absolutely.
But the big thing for me at NAB are the small, unknown companies. Like I just discovered a Korean company that has made this scissor jib.
Okay.
That is very cool, and it's sort of like a techno jib, but it gets very small and it goes up to about 20 feet, and so you can use it in all sorts of applications.
Yeah.
I've never heard of them before. If I had not been here, I would still never have heard of them.
Yeah, we're always on the hunt, and it is, you do have to walk around. You have to put in that time.
Right.
It's a ginormous convention.
Yeah.
Going from, we're here in South Upper, South Lower, all the way over to North. I mean, you could spend easy 30, 40 minutes just walking directly from South to North, and then, but you do have to put in the work to walk around and find things that you didn't know existed out there. We found some of our best solutions that way as well. And, it sounds like this jib, I mean, a lot of things like Broadcast Management Group, I know, has shows in DC, New York, LA, Chicago.
Yeah, and international.
And international as well, which has been really big for you, which we'll get into. But, a lot of times you're trying to figure out the right piece of kit for that client's space, right? And compact jibs has always been one of those things that's been very difficult to find.
Right.
That are stable, reliable, and that are beefy enough to carry a broadcast camera.
Yep.
It seems like everyone just goes to 40-foot Jimmy jib or whatever, and there's nothing in between. There's little pocket jibs, and then there's the big ones. But trying to put that on stage or on set can be a problem in a smaller space. But yeah, it's definitely good to walk around and check out all the new solutions, because you're always going to find that company that you didn't know was there. I remember last year you came over to our studio and you saw we have this really cool, innovative rack solution that we found from Martin last year at NAB,
Yep.
where there's no track on the floor, but it'll pull out and rotate so that you can get to the back of it. And, something simple like a rack that you wouldn't think of as like you're on the hunt for at NAB, but
Right.
we wouldn't have known it existed if we hadn't have come to it. So let's pivot for a minute and let's get into a little more of what we work on throughout the year. You recently launched a new OTT network, first to market with TD Ameritrade,
Yep.
and help them navigate that process of bringing to market their first piece of live video content, live linear channel. Can you tell me a little bit about the OTT explosion in general and how that has fit into the solution you developed for TD Ameritrade?
Well, yeah, that's a really exciting project. It is, they're the first to market in their space. But I think one of the things that's really interesting, as we were developing the network, and if I would talk with people and I'd say, oh, we're building an OTT channel for TD Ameritrade, they'd be like, what? What would a financial trading company have, like, what kind of content would that be? And now you can see it, so
Right.
we're producing 8 hours a day of live programming Monday through Friday, and and now it's open up the eyes for everyone, not only TD Ameritrade's competitors that will fall in after TD Ameritrade. Of course, they're going to do the same thing. It's a
Sure.
great direct-to-consumer application. But now you look at pharma, you look at hospitals, you look at hotels, you look at real estate. There's so many applications for direct-consumer networks. So then you look at now everybody is a media company, and
Everybody's a media company. Yeah, I've been
it's big.
hammering that home
Yeah.
all week. And earlier today I said that in another one of my segments with Microsoft, and it's
Wait a minute, you didn't say it with me first?
But
All
that's
right.
but that's true. I couldn't
Yeah.
save it. It's the end of
Right.
the day.
No, it's
But
right.
yeah, no, every brand, whether they realize it or not, is a media company.
Yeah.
And needs to think that way if
They
they
do.
want to survive.
Yeah.
Because somebody else is going to do that, and
Right.
one of their competitors. And I know that you was that today you had the talk over at Verizon Digital Media Services?
That's going to be Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're going to do a case study. It's going to be the head of the network for TD Ameritrade, Broadcast Management Group's executive producer, and myself. And the three of us are just going to walk through like how it started, and basically it was a network from first meeting to first on air, 9 months. And
Wow.
So in 9 months, we had to flesh out you actually do want an OTT network, because that's not what they came to us for. When they engaged us to consult with them, they were looking to build content direct to consumer, but it wasn't evolved in their mind that it was an OTT channel.
Sure,
So
sure, yeah.
we had to go from the first meeting was in February of 2017, and by the end of February, we're like, this is what you need. And they're like, yeah, we want to be on air by October. And I was like, wait a minute, we can do it, but I don't think you can do it. And
Right, yeah,
they're-
financial services firm, you wouldn't think they'd be able to move that
No,
fast.
any big company, there's usually a whole committee and all sorts of things, and they were like, what do you mean we can't do it? Of course, you're on. So I'm like, all right, you're on. And they did, and we launched in October. And then the goal was to be at 8 hours a day of programming by this September. And we
Right.
hit that mark a couple of weeks ago. So now we're on to the additional phases.
And that's based in Chicago, right?
It is based in Chicago.
Which is a little different for a production city. I mean, they do a lot
Yeah.
of of
sports.
pharma, and
Yeah.
they do there's a lot of corporate video in
Yeah.
Chicago and
Right.
stuff like that. But it is a little different to do a live televiation network in
Right.
Chicago, right? Not since
is.
WGN.
Right. I mean, and Oprah left.
Sure, yeah.
And it's a great market.
Uh-huh.
it's a great city. I love working in Chicago.
It's a beautiful city.
It really is a beautiful city. The people are fantastic, great Midwestern people. And so I was married in Chicago, and
Nice.
my wife's from Chicago. So, I've spent a fair amount of time in Chicago, not like I have in the last year and a half, though. I mean, I've been there a lot. And so I'd never really worked in Chicago regularly. And so now I feel like I really know Chicago, and it's a great city. But BMG provides all of the staff for the network, from the EP to the PA, and then we were also contracted to develop all the show formats and launch all. We produce the shows for them. Most of the on-air talent are TD Ameritrade financial experts,
Right.
with the exception of our main anchor that we recruited from Bloomberg, who's fantastic, and so. Yeah, all of that happened in 9 months. We had to recruit all of the team. Now, fortunately, we hire a lot of people in what we do, so
Sure,
we had a lot of
absolutely.
relationships, and that really helped. And it was really the best of both worlds.
And you're still hiring.
And we're still hiring, right?
Yeah.
We are, well, because we're on to the next phases. But it really provided, when we talk to somebody, you get the best of both worlds. You're building, you're working. You have a steady job every day. You're coming into a great environment. The TD work environment is amazing, but you're also working for BMG. So
Sure.
we will give them opportunities to work on some of our other shows, the Oscars, the Emmys, film festivals, Comic-Con, and so
I mean, you guys are really
they
all over
love
the place.
that. Though,
Yeah.
because you get the best of both, and it's a win-win situation, because for TD Ameritrade, the client, sometimes if your production staff's doing the same thing every day, they can get stale. But
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
Keep them growing by
Or they
giving
can
them
forget that they
exposure.
work with BMG, and we take that approach a lot at
Yeah.
LiveX as well.
Sure.
We have several daily shows that we run, but any chance that we get to pull some of those people out into some of our events-based
Yep.
work, some of our live productions, and certainly with New Year's Eve in Times Square,
Yeah,
it's
sure.
all hands on deck.
Yeah, right.
And those are the moments that the day-to-day really makes it worth it for them to
Yeah.
continue the grind.
Totally.
Some of these shows, and I know TD Ameritrade starts early as well.
Yes, it does, right.
Yeah, and some of our shows are live SVOD subscription fitness shows that they're live at 7 a.m.,
Sure.
7:30, stuff
Yep.
like that. When we launched Cheddar, Aubrey and I worked and we were live with the opening bell, which means you're in at the New York Stock Exchange every morning.
Yeah.
It's a tedious schedule that a lot of production people aren't used to. A
Yeah.
lot of production people want to roll in at 10 o'clock or
Yeah,
whatever
that's
and
not-
get into it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, but I know we've talked a lot about TD Ameritrade, but you mentioned a little bit. You just did a major show for IMDb at the Oscars.
Yep.
And you were live with them. It was like the official IMDb live stream.
Yep. 5.5 hours.
Use a lot of different. There's a lot of like little innovative things that go on with that show. Tell me a little bit about that show.
Yeah, the explosion of digital distribution, OTT, has been tremendous in the application. So we've worked with a lot of companies like IMDb. IMDb's a great client, and we've done a lot of shows for them. With the Oscars and the Emmys, they provide unique production challenges. With the Oscars, they wanted to be live from the red carpet, but not live to air because the rights issue. We couldn't go live.
Right.
to that.
Exactly. Yeah.
But so we were located about a mile away or half a mile away from the actual Oscars in a venue called Newey House, which is very cool.
Right. Right.
Spot. And so it was a live Oscars viewing party. So we had a live audience of actors, were our guests, VIP guests to the party. We had a set. We had our hosts, and they were interviewing various people, Peter Fonda, all sorts of cool people that they interviewed. We had a pre-show, a simulcast show, and a post-show.
It's pretty amazing. Like, you wouldn't have thought several years ago that like watch parties would be a thing.
All right.
And they are.
Yeah.
We've done some second screen things that are in support of the regular event where
Right.
it's literally a watch party, and people are watching on air on television, and then they on their tablet or their
Yep.
phone, they're watching the commentary,
Yep.
which oftentimes is more entertaining than certainly a show like the Oscars that
Yeah.
can get pretty drawn out.
Sometimes you can have some dry moments.
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely, absolutely.
But I think there's an art to producing those kind of shows because with most of our clients, and especially IMDb, they don't want to compete with the Oscars. They want to
Right.
complement it. So,
Absolutely.
our pre-show is a typical pre-show, interviewing people about what's going to happen with the Oscars, and then our simulcast show, we expect that customers are watching the Oscars and they're looking at us on their second screen, whatever that device is, and so we're providing companion video that supports what's the awards that are going on at that time.
Yeah.
So if it's for Best Actor, we'll have video of people that we've interviewed over the year that are up for Best Actor. So it's all helpful content, not distracting. So if you are in a dry moment, you can be like, oh, watching this supporting
Go a little
content.
deeper. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when the Oscars goes to commercial break, I know the advertisers want everyone to watch the commercials, but that's when we come back live to our set.
Right.
So for that 2 to 4 minute commercial break, we're live to our set, and when the Oscars comes back on, we go back to what we call second screen experience.
Yeah, and the pre-show, the red carpet is a lot of fun as well.
a lot of fun,
I mean,
yeah.
I used to do all the award season for the Associated Press.
Yep.
And that was, some great moments that you can find, and it's a really fun show. Anytime you do a red carpet, you're not sure who you're going to get, right?
Yep. Right.
And I know you guys do a lot of red carpets,
Yeah.
movie premieres,
Sure.
other things, but that's one of the coolest elements is that you have to be prepared for kind of anything.
Sure.
Somebody to walk up and then feeding the host with proper lines of
Yeah.
this is the project they're working on now, this is the project they have lined
Yeah.
up, this is what they just finished, and that's a different type of live production.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
One that you can't script out and control tightly, and you have to really think on your feet. And I think that like both LiveX and Broadcast Management Group are uniquely situated to support those things and be ready for anything that sort of gets thrown at us during the shows. And it's not just about putting together high polish. It's about that moment that you didn't know was going to happen.
Absolutely.
And that's the moment that makes live worth it for everyone,
Totally.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best example for us recently
Yep.
that you're just talking about was our Emmy show.
Uh-huh.
So we had, at the Winner's Walk, we had this small studio, 4-camera studio, which is a little bigger than this space right here, but 4 cameras, you can imagine. And then we had a host and then up to 5 celebrities, Oscar winners,
Sure.
that could come in. So, and then we had a correspondent at the LA Convention Center for the Governor's Ball.
Right.
So those were our locations. The red carpet we had pre-recorded. So after you win your Emmy, you go to all the
Go to
Emmys
get-
that
yeah, you go to get it
won when you've
engraved.
gone up there. You go right, and then you
Yeah.
go to the Winner's Walk,
Right.
and you do your media junket. So not every actor wants to do that.
Absolutely.
And then some, will skip a booth or what. So we have a show rundown, but we really have no idea who
Right.
we're going to get.
And it's really all dependent on those field producers on the floor of grabbing the
Yes,
right person
that's exactly right,
and
right.
being okay, I've got so and so, I'm ready to go, and then you're all right, and a lot of times you're dealing with their publicists who are
That's
also
right.
on the floor.
That's absolutely
They're
right,
also on the red
yeah.
carpet, and that can be a pain because they're oh, I got to get to
Totally.
I got to get to people in 10 minutes. You got 5 minutes with
Yes.
whatever,
Right.
and
Yeah.
and then but you're trying to wrap up an interview, and you don't want to kick off an Oscar winner like
That's right.
Kevin Costner or something
Right.
or
Oh,
whatever,
yeah,
and
right.
you're yeah, get out of
Get
here.
outta
I
here,
got
right, next,
somebody more young and relevant
Right, exactly.
now
No,
waiting
that's-
behind you.
Yeah.
Navigating those relationships of who you actually put on air,
Yes, right.
and who you bump, and when you bump somebody is a very difficult and very underrated skill in
Yeah.
live production, I think.
We had packages that were pre-produced packages, which are set. It's a 2-minute, 5-minute, whatever that package is.
Yeah.
And then we had our correspondent at the Governor's Ball that was interviewing people. Well, when someone would come that wanted to sit down to interview, you need to go there right away, but
Got
you
it.
got to look at, do you cut the package early? Do you wrap the interview at the governor's ball? All those things you're talking about.
You start to like roll on it and,
Yeah.
and like play it back, even though like the
All of
interview's
yeah,
still
right.
going on.
That's
I mean,
exactly right.
we'd have to do
It's
a lot
fun.
of that.
I mean, that's what I live for.
Yeah.
We love live television.
Absolutely.
And it's for that. It's that pressure. It's adrenaline junkie in us, and it's nothing like it. It's great. So
Yeah, so
I'm all for it. Bring
back
it
to
on.
the solutions a
Yes,
little more.
right.
We are at NAB. The technology is a big part of this show. Everybody's making a big push for IP video. We're seeing a couple of IP trucks come out.
Yep.
Not very many. Baseband still, I would say, even though everyone here is touting IP as the now.
Yes,
It's still baseband video is still the way you do a lot of your
Yeah.
business. Still the way that LiveX does a lot of our
Yeah.
business. I do think that IP video is where we're all going to be eventually, but the solutions haven't gotten there either in reliability or price at this point for a lot of them. There are some really good ones out there, though. What kind of things do you think are on the horizon for like Broadcast Management Group, and like if a new client comes to you today and says, I want to build a new infrastructure and I want to make this new channel. You're not an integrator yourself. You're a consulting
Yep.
firm that provides time and advice to your customers. Would you advise people at this point to make the jump to IP video for their infrastructure needs, or would you advise them to remain in a broadband infrastructure?
Well, we look,
Baseband, sorry.
we look at things, from four perspectives. One, we're a multi-camera live to tape production company. Two,
Right.
we're consulting company. Three, we're a long-term staffing company, and four, we're show format and producing entity. So we use this technology. We're power users of the technology like LiveX is.
Right,
So
absolutely.
we're looking at it not just from a consultant perspective, we're looking at it for someone who uses it every day. We're looking at it from a content creator perspective. We're looking at it from how people, from our staffing perspective, how people are going to use that technology. So to answer that question, I'm all for IP.
Right.
And that is the future.
Yes.
And in some parts of it, it definitely is here today. So if I'm building a control room right now and advising a client, I would definitely be looking at brands that have already embraced and are ready for IP today. And so you can look at switchers that Sony offers or Grass Valley. There are others, but those are ones that they can do.
They can do a mix,
They
which
can do
is
a
nice.
mix.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually the key is a mix.
A
because
hybrid
I think
solution.
it's a transition. And so you don't want to go with someone that is not already thinking in that, because that is the future, and you'll find yourself investing in something that's you're not going to get your return on investment for.
Yeah, I mean, copper can only take us so far, and
Yeah.
they keep coming out with bigger and bigger copper wires. Actually, all the SDI in here is 12G SDI rated, which is a
right.
new cable from Belden that came out for 4K 60p. But I mean, that cable is super thick right now,
Yeah.
and there are some great 12G fiber transport methods and things like that. So, I mean, I think that we are starting to see glimmers of IP, but I'm glad you said that, because I agree that right now we need to be able to accept both,
Yes.
and
right,
to continue to work with baseband video for quite a few years in the future until some of this legacy equipment that already exists in these in our client spaces can be phased out and upgraded and things like that.
The challenge, though, I think is, there are lots of challenges. So
Yeah.
you're talking about choosing what technology and what capital investment to make.
Right.
The other one is human capital
Yeah.
issue, because going IP is not your traditional video engineer.
There's not a lot of broadcast IT people out there.
Yeah, we have our chief engineer that we have in charge of our Chicago operation is a dream, in that he's a young guy, but he has worked on countless truck jobs,
Right.
traditional video, but he's also an IT person. And he's like, that's like, he's the breed, the new breed for the future.
Absolutely.
And you know, a lot of what we're doing with our OTT channel is IP, you know, related. So
Sure.
having that expertise, but you have to have the baseline video expertise too. And
Absolutely.
that's going to be the challenge from a personnel perspective.
Yeah, I mean, human capital is always what sets us back more than anything, right?
Yeah,
It's
right,
really
yeah.
difficult to find qualified people
Right.
that can, you know, that are also willing to learn, right?
Willing to learn, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
because you know, you to survive in this business, you have to continually learn. I mean, that's the only way to do it because things are changing all the time. We are just about out of time, but I do want to get to one very important project that you and I talked about that you worked on recently. I know you've done a lot of things internationally, and you are expanding internationally, Broadcast Management Group's business. But you did a special project with the State Department in Pakistan.
Yeah. So we're really focused on Europe and Asia
Right.
now, and the Middle East. And we had a client that was referred to us that had our client was a nonprofit that promotes freedom in journalism around the world. They had a State Department grant
Got it. That's the
to
connection.
build a television station in Karachi, Pakistan. And you know, the challenge when you're working international is being able to work in different cultures and understanding the cultures. You don't want to fight against the local culture, and
Sure.
so and you're not necessarily just going to pick it up. You can't just say I'm going to be open-minded. You really have to have experienced it. And so we're focused on Europe, Asia, and Middle East because that's where we have particular cultural experience. And so they went in there as an American nonprofit, and they hired somebody local, which was smart partially, except for they had nobody in between that really knew things from an American perspective that could tell them what you're being told is right or wrong.
Right.
And so the project got off track, and so they were in trouble. And so they were referred to us, and we went in there to turn the project around and get it back on track. So it was a physical construction, and the way construction happens.
That sounds like
is-
any production anywhere. By
Well,
the way.
that's true.
Also, you
Yes.
know, that happens a lot in
Yeah.
building a new station,
True.
new channel. But
There are
it must have
unique
it had some
challenges. Yeah,
Absolutely.
like power, and you know, is not stable,
Uh-huh.
and so generators are a big deal, and UPSs, but
Right.
how where you put them, everything is a little bit of wild west, and construction is definitely a unique way that they build things, and and the timing and expectations is really interesting, and the way people work together. You know, they're very passionate. You know, the Pakistani people are wonderful people, very warm people, very passionate people, and so a lot of it's about, you know, showing respect.
Sure, yeah.
And when there's a disagreement, there's a lot of yelling and getting up in your face, but it's not necessarily anything personal. It's just the way they kind of express their passion.
Yeah.
You work through it, and then you get on with it.
I think I'd fit in really good there.
You're right. Yeah.
I'd fit
You're
in
right.
really well.
Just
yeah.
blow it out, and then
Yeah.
you get on with it.
Yeah,
you know?
well, I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm on a production and people think I'm really mad, and I'm not at all. Actually,
Right. It's just
Like,
part of the. Yeah.
it's just how it works.
Yeah,
you know? It's
that's
how you
right.
get things done.
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, lastly, before we go, if you guys want to see more of me and Todd, we're both going to be attending and speaking at Streaming Media East for the
Yeah.
live streaming
It's
summit.
going to be awesome in New York.
You've got an
in May.
incredible panel
Yeah, yeah.
that you know, I helped put together for
Yep.
you, and you're now taking it on another direction. You've got Hulu,
Verizon,
Verizon,
TD Ameritrade.
TD Ameritrade, and AWS. Actually, I
Yeah.
think just joined your panel.
Which is awesome.
Yep.
I mean, it's really going to be a 360 view of the future, and looking at current applications for OTT, and it's going to be amazing. So you're looking, you know, Verizon's going to talk from a technical perspective. You know, TD Ameritrade's going to be talking from their perspective of why they're using OTT as a form to communicate with their consumers. So you'll get different perspectives. It'll be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing conference. It's really, started in its infancy. Streaming Media West has always been larger, but Streaming Media East, I think this year is really going to put it on the map. We've got some great content lined up, and I'll be giving a talk on the future of live streaming.
Awesome.
Which will be really great. And there's so many other good panels there as well on creating good digital experiences. So check that out at streamingmedia.com. And also check out Broadcast Management Group and LiveX. This has been the LiveX Happy Hour from NAB Show 2018, the final segment of the day, day one for Wowza Studio Sessions. I'm Rob Baynard with LiveX. Thank you, Todd, for coming on. Really appreciate it. Cheers. We got our bourbon, our orange-colored bourbon with our Kodo koozies. Courtesy of Wowza. No, it's just Gatorade. But, we wish we could have a little bourbon. Maybe we'll figure that out later. Right. Yeah, we're about to go do that. Actually, they just came over the loudspeakers and told us we got to get out of here. So join us tomorrow at 11 a.m. for the next Wowza Studio session. We look forward to seeing you, and thanks for watching.